Hola, hola, and welcome to the next episode of Spanglish Talks. This is your host, Amiga Mia, and today we have a super special guest, the incredible Mariafe Artacho del Solar, la reina australiana with Peruvian heritage, who recently competed in the 2024 Paris Olympics for volleyball, representing Australia. She moved from Lima, Peru to Sydney, Australia from the age of 11 with her mum and found her strength and voice through volleyball. And this episode is really just going to be diving into Mariafe's story, what it is to be as Australian with Latin heritage, competing in the Olympics. For those who follow Amiga Mia on my socials, you'll see that I've been following Mariafe's journey for a while now, and I strongly believe till today still that one of the most powerful voices that we have in Australia to represent Latinas, to represent Australians with Latin heritage. And of course, you might have seen her very recently in the Paris Olympics as we followed her journey and her partner's journey. I hope I pronounced this correctly. Taliqua Clancy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. As we get to learn more about Mariafe's story, also learn more about her recently launched fashion brand, Del Solar, the label that launched in 2023, which beautifully blends comfort and style. Thank you so much, Mariafe, for joining. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited about this Spanglish conversation.
Yeah, Mariafe asked me before the show, she was like, are we speaking in Spanish or English? And I was like, well, amiga, this is a blended world. This is a blended world. So whatever comes out first, right? Before we even start, which one are you? So I have some people who say like, I don't like speaking Spanglish, not because I don't like it, but because I either have to speak purely English or purely Spanish.
Oh.
And then you have some people who are comfortable in speaking Spanglish. They can sort of code switch.
Yeah.
What's your preference?
I like doing Spanglish. I find it easy to go back and forth. If anything, I find it hard to do just Spanish. I mean, English is pretty natural now to me. I've been in Australia for longer than I was living in Peru, so English is kind of almost taken over as a first language for me, but Spanglish is way easier for me.
Yeah. And when you speak Spanglish, do you speak mostly Spanish and a little bit of English, or do you speak mostly English and a little bit of Spanish?
I think it depends who I'm talking to. See, I think if I'm talking to my mum, for example, I'll probably speak a lot more English. But if I'm talking to mis tías, my aunties, I'll speak more Spanish, and then I'll throw in a little bit of English.
Yeah,
so it depends who my audience is.
I like that. Yeah, it's a good point, right? Anyone you're speaking to in Latam, it's like Spanish with a few, because what I discovered was the Spanglish comes from a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time when we don't find the equivalent word in the other language.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So let's start off with your story. Look, there's a lot of people at the moment who are following your journey. We're really intrigued by you. We want to know a bit about your background and what drives you, your passions, your business, your athleticism, everything above. But just to start off, paint the picture for us, amiga. You were born in Lima, Peru. Talk about just, your initial early days.
I was born in Lima, Peru, to a very sporty family. I'm one of three, so I've got an older brother and older sister. And my sister, Maria Jose, she played for the national team in indoor volleyball, but then also I had my dad who played professional football. He played for Peru in fulbito, like futsal, or I think it's called futsal, like the little version of football. And then my grandfather was a very well-known national commentator for football. And then I've got also, like, through my mum's side, Gaby Perez Solar, she played in the Olympics where they won silver back in the day. So come into a very sporty family, but being the younger sister of my sister, I guess I just followed her everywhere. I would go to all her trainings and all her tournaments. So volleyball, I guess, came more natural to me, but I loved every sport. I played everything under the sun, and I was always outdoors, and I just loved staying active. So I guess that's where, like, my passion for sport came, and I continued playing volleyball when I moved to Australia when I was 11. So mum lived in Sydney back in the 70s with all the rest of my aunties and uncles and my grandparents. So they migrated back well, really they came to visit my auntie who was here, and then they ended up staying. So that's how I became Australian when I was born, through my mum. So then my mum eventually wanted to move back years later, and she did. So at the age of 50, she kind of had to like restart her life with an 11-year-old. My sister ended up staying in Peru, which was really hard for mum, obviously being having to have like her children across the world. But yeah, she ended up staying.
Yeah.
And my brother actually was born in Australia back then, and then he went to Lima with mum when they went back when he was 5. But then he moved by himself when he was 25, so he's a bit older than me. So he was already here, and so mum and I came when I was 11, and yeah, I continued to play volleyball. I started representing New South Wales at a really young age, and then I kind of got invited to.
Wait. So you're originally from New South Wales?
Yeah, I moved to Sydney. So from Lima, I went to Sydney.
Ah.
Yeah.
So okay, just if we do like a competition between the states, it's nice to know that we had some some good
Blues
representation
fans.
from New South Wales.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was in
Nice,
Sydney
nice.
for 9 years. So I did year 6 in Sydney. I went to Gordon West Public School, and then I did all my high school in Killara High. So and throughout those
Kalara,
years, yeah,
nice.
in Killara.
Is Kalara a sports high school?
Not really, to be honest. It was just like the
No.
local
Okay.
school in my area, so I just went there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a good school. And yeah, through my junior year, so how I got introduced to beach volleyball was another funny story. So I started playing indoor volleyball because of my sister in Peru, but then when I came to Australia, I came in December, so it was like beginning of summer, and my brother, who was already here in Sydney, he said, "Oh, I've organised some of my mates and for you to play a 4-a-side social tournament down at Manly Beach. Every weekend you play games, and at the end, like there's a winner." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And at the time I was 11, and like I said, my brother's a lot older than me. He's 18 years older than me, so. All his mates were like, "What? She's 11? Like, can she play?" And he's like, "Yeah, she can play." Anyway, it was so fun. And that's the moment I was like, I love this sport. Like, I fell in love with beach volleyball, and I kind of had a feeling that I wanted to do this more. So that's my first introduction to beach volleyball through my brother. And then I got invited to state camps, and then got invited then to do some beach training down at Manly. And then after that, I got then invited by the national program to go to Adelaide and just try out
Nice.
for a camp. So that's kind of how I got, like, I guess, scouted and introduced to the national program in Adelaide. So yeah, I started really, really young, but do you want me to keep going?
But before you keep going, because it's super interesting, like how the story progressed from Lima to admiring your sister. Also, I wanted to make a comment that you come from the epitome of a sport family.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of sporty
Like it was
people.
very impressive when you were, yeah, when you were talking, listing all the people in your family, and I was like, wow, this is a super sport family.
Yeah,
They must be so proud of you. Like, oh
yeah.
wow. And then to move to the North Shore and then be part of that, like that ecosystem of volleyball. I have a question as well before you continue. Is volleyball big in Lima? Like, is it in Peru in general?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is it?
Well,
I feel like it's big, right?
yeah. I mean, in South America, volleyball is huge, and so is football. So it's mainly like,
Yeah.
a lot of girls start playing volleyball at a really young age. So it's almost as big as it is for netball here for girls. So you start really, really young, and yeah, it's very, very popular.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because when I think of volleyball, especially like beach volleyball, I think of like the Brazil,
Yeah,
Australia makes a lot of sense. But then when you start thinking about Peru, but then I asked my family as well. So my dad used to play volleyball
yeah,
in university professionally, and he
yeah,
loved it. And he told me
yeah,
over there in Latin America is huge.
yeah. More
I
indoor
love that.
than beach volleyball. Beach volleyball, not so much. Beach volleyball
Indoor.
in Brazil is huge, but mainly
Yeah.
volleyball indoor is bigger in most of South America.
That makes sense. And I was reading in an article that you had spoken to another media outlet about how, like, volleyball, you loved volleyball as well, certainly in your younger years in Australia, because it was a universal language.
Yes.
It helped with that sort of language barrier.
Yeah, so when I came to Australia when I was 11, I didn't speak English at all. So I came with zero English. I didn't know how to, like, a single word. So I found sport in general was a way for me to feel like I belonged, feel like I was part of a community, feel like I was part of a team. And that's how I slowly became having friends and meeting people, and slowly became to learn English. So I find that sport, in a way, it is an international language where you can, become a part of a team, a part of something. And then, that's how I felt like, I got more involved.
Yeah, I love that. How did you find in your younger years, like integrating into Australia? Do you remember any culture shocks, or like what was your experience like?
Yeah, actually, so I don't know if this is a like all of South America thing, but sorry, I've got something in my eye. In
No, that's okay.
Peru, on Sundays, it's like a family day. So I remember most Sundays we used to get together as a family lunch, and then we would go to like my grandparents for afternoon tea or for lonche, which is what we call it. But it used to be like a very family day on Sundays, and I used to love it because I come from a big family. I have a lot of cousins, so it was so much fun, and I have fond memories of that. And then when I came to Australia, it was just another day. And I used to miss those days. I used to be like, why are we like doing a family lunch or getting together? Like everyone just had their own things going on and everyone was busy. I was like, oh, that's really sad. And then obviously the Christmas tradition, we celebrate on the 24th. And I remember I had so many cousins, and we used to, go to bed and then wake up to the bell. That means Santa's come, and we get to open the presents at midnight. And that wasn't really a thing here. Like eventually, like we would do the 24th dinner, but that's it. Like it was like, okay, like it wasn't like an open presents at midnight with like, my new nieces and nephews here. So I guess that tradition didn't like kick on here, which was pretty sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a few things where I was like, oh, I guess I have to get used to this new culture.
Yeah, I agree with you with the Christmas one, like the Noche Buena, right? Like for us when we were little, like we had a lot of family friends that we did it with.
Yeah.
And I had my Dia here with a couple of youngins.
Yeah.
But then as my brothers and sisters have like married and had children, like that generation,
yes,
it's all 25th.
Yeah, same.
It feels weird.
I know. I remember being like to my cousins, like, come on, wake up the kids. Like, come on, keep that tradition going. And they were like, no, because they'll be so grumpy tomorrow. I'm like, who cares? It's one day a week, one day a year. But they were like, no. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. Agree. Yeah, there's some good ones. So family, on Sundays, and then of course like Christmas as well. So continuing on the conversation, so you got scouted, you went to Adelaide to the camp, and then what's the next step? You know what? I looked you up on Wikipedia and Google, and the amount of medals you have won is insane. What was it like after Adelaide? Like what changed at that moment?
So I went to the Adelaide trip, and it was actually a selection camp for the Junior World Championships, the Under 19 World Championships, and I was 13 at this point. And then I actually got the opportunity to, like, I got selected in the team to go to the Under 19 World Championships in Poland. And that was like a huge surprise. I was like, oh my God, like that's incredible. That's so fun. And that trip was the trip where I was like, oh, I want to do this as a professional career. Like I want to play beach volleyball professionally. When I was 13, I was like, I had like a light bulb moment. I was like, I want to do this. Since then, I had the opportunity to represent Australia at multiple Junior World Championships. So I ended up playing eight Junior World Championships, and I won bronze and a gold. So 2014 was my last year, like my last Junior World Champs, and then that's when the prep for Rio to qualify to the Olympics started.
Wow, what a feeling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that was, it was
That's crazy.
Like to qualify for Rio, like to play beach volleyball in Copacabana, it was unreal. Like for the first time as a 22-year-old, it was epic. And obviously being so close to Peru, all my family were able to come. So we had La Barra Brava. They called themselves La Barra Brava, and yeah, it was so fun. It was so good.
Nice. And like, what was it like? So, whilst you were like between the age of 13 and 22 and you're going through this whole experience and you're like, I'm going to play professionally, did you have to change like your schooling system or the way that you did school? Like, or did you do school normally and then you just did all this stuff after school?
Yeah, so I did normal school. I finished year 12 and everything, but I was away quite a bit because I would travel a lot. But the school was really understanding and really supportive. I would get extensions if I had like assignments or anything. So yeah, they were really supportive in that side of things. But yeah, no, I would train after school. I would be very late nights sometimes, but yeah, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I had my goals set, and I just knew that school was part of it, and I just had to do it. But my focus was, yeah, on my goals and dreams. I obviously had to make the choice to. A lot of people call them sacrifices, but I call them choices. I had to make a lot of choices in maybe not going to birthday parties, and as I got older through the teenage years, going to 18s and more parties, and obviously get the comments of, oh, like, why are you coming? I'm like, well, I got training tomorrow. I've got to compete tomorrow, or like, those comments always come along. But I knew it was going to be worth it, and I knew it was either going to, like, I had to take this path to become like successful and reach my dreams, or I could have easily taken this social path where it wasn't really going to aid towards my dreams. So
I love that. You're goals driven.
yeah,
It's very evident that you're goals and
yeah,
purpose driven, especially from such a young age. That's so impressive.
yeah. I just
That's so impressive.
had them set very strongly, and I knew what I wanted, and I knew I wanted to, yeah. So I knew what I had to do. But I
And
think
did you
also,
always
like,
have your
sorry, but sorry to interrupt you, but I think having a really good support network around you is really important.
Yep.
Like, my mum and my family were by my side all the way along, and it wasn't always like highs and rainbows and butterflies. Like, there were some really challenging and tough times where sometimes I could have been like, oh, this is too hard or too tough. But those are the moments where your true character comes out. You build resilience, you build strength, and you're going to be so much better for it. And so in those moments, it's important to have your support network to be like, well, you're doing, you've made this choice for a reason. You're doing this for a reason, and it'll be worth it. Like, this challenge might be hard now, but the next one will be a bit easier, and the next one will be a bit easier. So it's just all part of it.
Who would you say is your greatest support system? Like, if you would, is there one particular person, or would you just say it's your immediate family or immediate circle?
Definitely my immediate circle. Like, growing up, obviously my mum was huge. So it was like mum and I were like a team, and then obviously I had like outside my mum and I was like my siblings and my outer family, like my aunties, and then as I got older, like now it's my husband and my family. So but yeah, it always comes down to your family, because they really know, they know who you are and your goals, and I think they're the ones that will have your back. I mean, yeah, I had some friends eventually, like that friendship kind of became really, really, really small, because not all your friends kind of believe in what you want to do, and some of the things that I wanted to do meant that I wasn't able to see them. And because I was always traveling, you can't really develop those friendships. So, like, I'm so grateful now of I can count them in my hand. I've got 5 beautiful friends from school that I still keep in contact, and they had my back all throughout my high school years, and even like throughout the Olympics, they got up and watched me, and it was just an awesome. Like, I'm so grateful for them, and I always see them when I go to Sydney. Like, I love them so much, and but yeah, I mean, it's about quality and not quantity of the people around you.
Oh, couldn't agree with
Yeah.
couldn't agree with you more. And also a big shout out to tu mama,
Yeah.
because when I interview different people in our community of influence, or the influential, there's always a very common thread, and a lot of the times it's a strong Latina mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So shout out to your mom,
Yeah.
because you can tell that she's, what's your
Yeah.
mom's name?
Isabel.
Isabel, shout out to Isabel. Thank you so much for everything you've done for Mariafe, and turning her into a iconic symbol for us in the Australian community with Latin heritage, because it shines through her values through you, and
Yeah.
you being such an advocate for her is beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And tell us, like, what was it like when you get that phone call saying, Mariafe, you've made it to the Olympics? Like, what did that day look like?
Well, you get an idea. So how you qualify to Olympics is you can qualify through the top 15 ranks in the world, or you can qualify through your continent. So for Rio, we qualified through our continent. So there's an event in June, literally like a month out of the Olympics, and you compete against all your continent countries. So for us in Australia, we're part of Asia, so we compete against all the Asian countries. and you have to win that tournament, like single elimination, and you have to win it. So that one we won back in 2016, and that's how we qualified to Rio, and that was just amazing. I had my family there, and it was an incredible day. Like, to be able to share that moment with them was so special. And then the next two Olympics in Tokyo and Paris, we qualified through the top 15 ranks. So and how you get the ranks is we play a world tour, which is similar to tennis. So we compete from February all the way to December, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, all around the world. And the events, you accumulate points. And at the end of the qualification period that goes for 18 months, you get an idea if you're in the top 15 or not. So it's not necessarily that you get a phone call, but you get an idea if you're going to make it through the top 15. But in saying that, when you know you're officially qualified and you get selected officially, that is an incredible feeling of, like, you've made it.
You've made it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And you made it 3 times.
Yeah. So far, I'm still going for 2 more.
Yeah, you are. And we're going to be supporting you the whole way through.
Yeah.
And you got when did you get your first medal?
We got silver.
Tokyo got silver. Wow, what a feeling. What was it like to be up on the podium receiving that?
Oh, it was amazing. It was like a dream come true, right? Every athlete always works so hard to get an Olympic medal. Obviously going to Olympics is an amazing feeling, but you just don't want to participate in the Olympics. You want to walk away with a medal.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was obviously a very unique Olympics because we weren't able to have our families and our loved ones there. So it was different, but it was still amazing. It was still an incredible experience. Yeah, an unforgettable moment.
Yeah. And for all of us who have no idea what goes on behind the scenes, like when you get a medal, like is there anything else to it, or is it just like a medal that you keep?
No, you get a medal and then you get like a box that you can keep it in. But I've actually got it saved in an Oakley Sunnies case in my socks drawer. And like a lot of athletes actually just have it in a random case in the socks drawer. Like, I don't know why we do that, but
Fair enough.
that's so random.
And if we rewind back to 2021, actually no, before we get to that point, recently a lot of us saw you in Paris, right? We saw the hustle, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you ended up coming the 4th place.
Yeah, 4th.
In the world, which is still fucking amazing. And what was it like being in the Paris Olympics? Like that seemed like a whole different experience. Were you on the boat when people were waving as part of Australia?
I didn't go because I got sick, so I wasn't allowed to go.
I
stayed back. So, but it looked really fun. It was so different because usually we walk out into a stadium for the open ceremonies. So, they decided to go on down the river, which looked really cool, although it rained. So I feel like I didn't miss on too much.
I saw that.
Yeah. But,
I saw that.
But I mean, playing in Paris was amazing.
Yeah, and it looked like one of the most beautiful courts. Every time you uploaded a photo on your Instagram, I was like, wow, that court is insane.
Yeah, the venue was the best out of all of them, and it was so magical. Like, the Eiffel Tower is just beautiful, and to have it as a background on the stadium was just so magical. It was so cool.
And did you have your family with you in Paris?
I had my husband for the first week and a half, and then once we made it to the quarterfinals, my sister was like, I'm coming. So she flew from Lima, grabbed a plane the next day, and she made it to the quarterfinals, and she stayed till the end. So it was really cool to see her.
That would have been a beautiful moment to see your sister for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, because we don't get to see each other too much because she lives over there and I'm over here, so we try to see as much as possible, but sometimes like 2 years go past. So it was really nice to have her there, and but it was just a bit difficult for the rest of my family, and like really expensive. Like, accommodation was so expensive over there.
I can imagine. Like, Paris doesn't seem to be cheap at all, especially during the Olympics. It would have hiked the prices up.
Oh, everyone left, so all the locals left, and they're like, okay, if you want to stay at my Airbnb, here, I have $20,000 for 2 weeks. Yeah, ridiculous.
That's not a rip-off.
Yeah, ridiculous. But like, people had no other choice because everything was expensive.
Yeah. And how was it like living in what is it called, like the athletes' quarters or
the village?
The village, yeah. I don't know where I got that name from.
The quarters. Yeah, it was fine. Like the village is a huge kind of city. You got buildings of different countries. All the countries have their own buildings, and the Australian building always does really well. Like they make us feel really comfortable, and like they make us feel like we're at home. So, but yeah, there's a lot going on. There's the big, huge dining hall. There's like games room. There's the hairdresser, the beauty salon. Yeah, there's lots going on, but it's fine. It's
Wait, you have a beauty salon?
yeah, so we can get our nails done, we can get our hair done, all for free.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And did you interact with any of the Latin American or Peruvian teams?
Yes, I went to the Peruvian building, and I met a couple of the delegates and a few athletes. So yeah, I always make sure I go because I'm like I'm Peruana, but I play for Australia, but I kind of feel like I'm one of you here. Yeah,
Love that.
I do that.
Does Peru also have a volleyball team, a beach volleyball team?
No, they had rowing and sailing and surfing. But surfing was in Tahiti, and I think judo. So a couple of sports, but no, not in volleyball.
And on that topic, so you just said like I'm Peruana, but I'm representing Australia. A question that I ask everyone in this podcast is, how do you culturally identify? You know, like in terms of like Australian, Peruvian, Peruvian, Australian, I'm just Australian, Peruvian heritage. Like, what does it look like for you?
I think I'm both. I was obviously born in Peru, so I'm Peruvian Australian. So I'm Peruvian by blood, but I'm an Australian like citizen or resident. I don't know what you call it. And Australia is home now. Like I'm so grateful for this country and all the opportunities that it's given me. It's a beautiful lifestyle, great opportunities. So I call Australia home, and I'm so happy to be Australian, but at the same time I'll never forget like where I come from and my Peruvian heritage. So I'm Peruvian Australian.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yes, Peruvian Australian. So your go-to, like let's say your default is Peruvian Australian.
Yeah, I mean I don't think I've ever said it, but in my Instagram I'm pretty sure I've got the Peruvian flag and then the Australian flag. Let me check actually.
Yeah,
now I'm curious. Yeah, I've got the Peruvian, so I was born in Peru and I'm like Australian. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. And do you know much about the Peruvian community here in Australia? Or the Latin community?
Yeah, I know a bit of it, but I haven't met too many. I'd love to meet more. So anyone in Brisbane, holler at me.
Hey. So there's a big community in Brisbane actually. There's a huge community in Gold Coast as well. Apparently they're calling Gold Coast like the new Miami.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it's like
it
going
is
wild.
Full of Latins over there, yeah.
I think there's a huge community of Colombians and Brazilians as well. Like they're the two that are the highest according to the census.
Yeah, I know a few. Like Andy, I know Andy, Andrea. You know Andy?
Andrea? Which which Andrea?
You know she was in the one that was in the cooking show.
Ah, of course. Yes. Of course.
I know her, but I don't know many others. I know a few more, but not many.
It would be such a beautiful opportunity if one day we could, have an event and have you as a speaker. Yeah. I know we spoke about it a few years ago, and I said, Mariafe, and you're like, Michelle, I'd travel like 24/7, man.
I know, it's so hard.
So, but one day will happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I genuinely think like having your story shared in person as well there's a very, very powerful opportunity there.
Yeah.
And just as we sort of like move on from the Olympic topics, but before we do, like what was, I guess for those who look at you, they look up to your values, where you live your life, how disciplined you are, and your heritage, and all of that combined. Is there any tough moments that you would want to open up? A moment where you're just like, fuck. And just maybe like, I know you've had some injuries as well that might have potentially set you back.
Oh, I mean, challenges are all part of it. I guess like you have to feel the highs in order to feel the lows. It's like you have to feel happiness in order to feel sadness, and reverse. Like you got to experience both, and both are part of it. And yes, I've experienced so many challenges where, especially through the Australian system, I struggled because I was really short. And they tend to look at athletes who were just really tall, instead of kind of looking at each person for what they had. I'm kind of making the best of what they had. So yeah, I struggled when I was a junior. I struggled there for a bit of, I guess in selection wise, I had to really work hard, and it looked different for me. But I never gave up, and I didn't kind of let them get in my way of my dreams, and I just stayed really strong about, I was really focused about my goals. And I now looking back, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't give up and throw in the towel, because I hope that I've allowed other girls not so tall, give it a go, and kind of follow their dreams as well, regardless if they're tall or short. So and also, like, I'm grateful I haven't had too many injuries, but I did have one big one during the World Champs. During the tournament, I did my MCL, so it was pretty much like torn, like it was holding on by a little thread. And I was right in the middle of a tournament, but it was such a big tournament leading up to Tokyo Olympics. So I was like, I came here for a medal and I'm not leaving without one. So I had a really good medical team behind me, strut my knee every game, and plus the adrenaline, I made it through all the way to the bronze medal match, and we got the bronze medal match. So we won the bronze medal at the World Champs. So that was a huge moment for me, that, our minds are so strong. Like our bodies are capable of so much more, but our minds are the one, like, will give up first. But if you just tell yourself, and you're like, your mind and body's all in balance and aligned, then you can make anything happen. Like it's just crazy. Like those moments are the ones that teaches you so much, like how much we can push our bodies, but our minds are the ones that are going to tell you, you can't do it, you're sore, you're in pain. But if you put that aside and let that little voice kind of go away, and you stay strong in what you want to achieve, then it's pretty incredible what you are capable of.
And for your mindset, would you say that you've always had this mindset since little, or would you say, like, over the years you've adopted this mindset of, like, because it sounds like you have a very strong control of your mind in the best and positive way.
Yeah.
Have you always been like that, or something you've developed?
I think definitely something I've developed, and I've gotten better as I've gotten older, and I've been through heavy experiences, as in like really challenging times. But I think I've always had, like, since I was little, I was like, I want to do this, and I'm going to do it. Like, you're not going to tell me I can't do it. Like, right from the start, I remember, everyone learns volleyball to serve underarm. I was like, no, I'm going to serve overarm. And I was like 5 years old. I'm like, no, I want to serve overarm. And everyone's like, okay, well, come in, start at this line. I'm like, no, I'm going to start at the furthest line. Like, I've always just been so, I guess, stubborn. And like, I'm like, no, I can do it. So I think in that way, I've had that in my, like, I'm very competitive, and I've had that drive and that discipline, I guess, from a younger age. But I've definitely, like, developed it, and been able to control my feelings and my emotions, and how to respond to a certain situation, because we're always in control of how we react and we respond to everything. Like, often you hear people say, oh, she made me feel like this, and she did this to me, and you're like, well, you actually responded this way and you reacted this way, which is why you're making yourself feel that way. But if you change the mindset and you change the way you react to the situation, you actually, like, it could just be such a more positive outcome, or a learning experience, instead of like always a negative reaction. So
would you say that you're very intentional about the people that you surround yourself with?
Oh, yeah.
To make sure that you can protect that energy?
Oh, yeah. I'm huge on the people I let in, because I'm very sensitive, and you don't need to talk to me. I know about you. Like, I meet people and I'm like, you haven't said a word, but I can feel your energy and you are not coming in my circle. Yeah, I'm huge on that. And even if it's been a friend for a long time, I'm like, everything's got cycles, and your cycle with me is finished. Yeah, I'm very protective of my energy, because I've been in the past where people have just taken advantage and sucked the life out of me, because I feel like, when I walk into a room, I've got that nice positive energy, and I'm happy to talk to anyone and meet everyone. Like, I'm always open, but at the same time, like, I've been hurt. So now I'm like, I've got to protect myself and I got to put myself first. So I'm definitely.
I get that vibe straight away.
Yeah, I'm
I
definitely.
get that vibe straight away. Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
best way. It's the best way to be, especially with
Oh,
someone like you. Like you've got very high stakes. You're a international Olympian,
yeah.
recognized Olympian. Like I would imagine you just need to be very intentional about who comes into your circle
Yeah.
and the energy that they feed you. Because people, even if they're not in your circle, they can still feed you energy, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you only want to receive the good stuff.
Yeah, I know. Every time I walk out of
Yeah.
home, it might sound a bit woo-woo for some people, but every time I walk out of my house, I protect myself and I'm like, only good, positive energy and love and happiness and comes my way. If it's not that, then I don't want it.
I love that. I love that. And one question around that: do you practice affirmations?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I always talk to myself in a very positive way. I know that, like, I
Mm-hmm.
love everything self-development. So how can I be the best version of myself? And how can I be, the best wife to my husband? How can I be a better friend? How can I be a better daughter? So I'm always, like, making sure I'm on the hunt for self-development. Like, I just don't think we'll ever stop learning. So, yeah, I'm always talking and thinking positively, because I think that if you constantly, like, you are your words. If you constantly say, I'm shit at this, or I have a shit life, or I can't afford that, or I can't do this, like, you will become that. Like, you will become that. So it's so important to constantly, like, even, like, I love manifestation. Like, I am such a believer for manifesting, and I, like, one of the biggest key things for manifesting is believing and thinking that's already happened. So I always, like, yeah, this has already happened, and I say it out loud, and I believe it, and I just let the universe take care of itself on when it's going to happen. So I'm big on that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for opening up about that, because I think there's a lot of people who need to hear that,
Yeah.
that, you can achieve so much just with you tweaking and
Yeah.
changing your mindset.
100%.
Um,
100%.
yeah.
Like, I
And
feel,
especially because you have,
sorry. Oh, I was going to say, I feel like my life has kind of planned out the way I planned it. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to achieve this. I'm going to, at this age, I'm going to do that. And it's literally like bang, bang, bang. Like, it's pretty amazing, pretty powerful once you really, truly believe it and you see it. I also love visualization. So, like, I really visualize anything I want. I'm like, I see it, I believe it, and, like, I just leave it and trust that it will happen, like, have faith that it will happen, and yeah, just let it go.
Also, one last question. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 30 and I'm turning 31 next month. So I'm on October.
No, you don't look 30.
Oh, really?
No way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, you definitely have a very youthful look to you.
Yeah.
And
I take
don't
that.
worry, I'm 33, amiga. The 30s aren't that bad.
I get excited about getting older. Yeah. It's a blessing. It's a blessing getting older.
I always say that it's more like I'm wiser,
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm richer, and
Yes.
I'm more grateful than ever.
100%. That's the way.
And speaking with that manifestation, so the Olympics 3 and counting, you said you're gonna go to 2 more, and you got married, which is an incredible milestone as well. So congrats to that. And then also a new, out of nowhere, I saw on my Instagram one day. I'm like, "Ooh, del Solar, the label.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Tell us a little bit about this."
Yeah, so Del Solar label is my clothing brand. So it's more based around loungewear and lifestyle. And it's been a dream of mine for so many years. Like, I've always wanted to do something for myself and kind of have my own thing. And I've always had a passion for fashion. So sometimes I struggle to find something that I wanted to wear, and I just couldn't find it. So I was like, oh, why don't I just make it? So we launched, and by we, my husband and I, like, he helped me a lot with the back end side of things in December last year. And yeah, it's been a little very fun project, like a side project. And it's not just clothes. Like, I wanted to make something that represented confidence and empowerment, and something that when you wear the clothes, you can go and do anything you want. You can back yourself. one of my biggest values is staying true to yourself and being authentic. So that's one of our biggest missions, is to, when you wear the clothes, you stay true to yourself and you back yourself and do whatever you want. So I backed myself and we launched the business, and it's been, really fun. And we've slowly done a few limited edition drops, and we're looking to do a few more. But obviously with the Olympics and everything, I've been pretty busy with training and everything. But I think now, now that I'm home, I can slowly get back into it. But yeah, I've loved it. Obviously, Del Solar is my last name, and it's kind of like of the sun, and I love the sun, and it's like great energy. So it was perfect to name the brand that, Del Solar, the label. So
it's so I saw it. So for those listening, like Del Solar is you have a quite a diverse product range: hats, jumpers, shorts, t-shirts, and
tanks.
you have the icon of the sun,
Yeah, it's
tanks,
like a little sun.
and I saw the green hat, the little sun, and I was like, I love that. I love that. Hey, that's the one. I was
And
like,
then
I
we've
really
got
like. I mean, I like all of them.
just our cream one, which is just like the signature one, Del Solar, the label. So yeah,
Love how you, like, even from like me looking outside into your life, how it's also interconnected. That Solar, your last name, and it's so tied into beach volleyball, then so tied into the branding, even like comparable to Australia. Like Australia is known for its beaches and its sun and its vibrancy, and it's just a beautiful brand and story. It's personal brand as well that you're building. Like I look at it as like a really beautiful personal brand, and I love the designs as well. Are you the person behind the designs?
Yeah, I'm the one with all the ideas and the creative. Yeah, so I love the minimalistic look and those beautiful neutral earth colors. So that's why you see a lot of beiges and that nice khaki green and like that sage green.
And I saw as well, like in addition to your values, you said that you want to mix comfort and style.
Yeah.
And that was really important for you. And I love that because I feel like we need more of that.
Yeah, I know. You always want to just be comfortable, but you want to look good, you want to look good, you want to feel good, and that's important.
And then moving on, so you're back now. You've launched Del Solar last year. What's next for you? Are you any projects that are upcoming?
Well, I don't know. At the moment, I'm taking it easy, like slowly feeling like a human again. It's always like a very challenging time after the Olympics, from coming from such a high. The calm down is always like, very very different, because you always get told what to do. You go to training every day. You've always got something to do, and then suddenly you don't have anything, nowhere to be, nothing to do. So it's a very strange feeling. So I'm just like taking it easy and doing things I enjoy. I'm doing a bit of coaching, which I really love. I love giving back to the sport, so I'm doing that. And then I don't know, we'll see what kind of life has in store for us in the next 12 months. But I think I'm going to take some time off, do other things, and then I'll look to slowly get back, maybe in a year or so.
But you're definitely not slowing down with beach volleyball, right? Like you're going to go to the next couple of Olympics.
That's my plan. My plan is to go to LA and finish in Brisbane in 2032. So I'm not ready to retire. I'm definitely still keen to keep going, but I think at the moment I am ready to do something else in the meantime and take some time for myself. And then come back when I'm ready.
I love that. And if there was a message to the community, so the people who've listened to Spanglish Talks are across Australia, New Zealand, mostly Latins, Australians like you and I, who spend a huge amount of time in Australia, if not born. What message do you have for them?
I think always staying true to yourself is one of my biggest values. Staying true to yourself, and kind of don't let anyone or anything get in the way of your dreams. And it's never too late either. So don't put limitations on yourselves. And if you want something, it might be hard at first, but it will be worth it. So,
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And a fun question before we wrap up. What's your favorite Peruvian food?
Oh, that's a hard one. I love Peruvian food. Is the best food in the world. It's the best food in the world.
It is.
I'm actually going to Peru in December. I'm so excited. I haven't been since 2016. I went after the Rio Olympics, and I haven't been back because I was planning on going after Tokyo, but then with the pandemic it was a bit hard. But I'm going this December and I'm so excited to see my family and eat all of the food. But if it would have to come down to one dish, I'll probably say lomo saltado.
Lomo saltado,
My
yes.
mouth is watering.
There's a place in Sydney that does it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yum.
They, Peru got nominated in, I think it was the top 5 or top 10, like, cuisine in the world
Oh, we're the best.
in terms of how superior it was. Yeah, I don't dispute. Even when I went to Chile, there was that many Peruvian restaurants, and people swear by it. It is hands down one of the best, if not the best, cuisine in the world.
It's so
honestly. If you don't already know, there's a Peruvian restaurant owner who's he's got 2 restaurants called Morena, one in Sydney, one in Melbourne, and they are like amazing.
Okay.
Now opened, and there's a bit of press around it. So if you ever venture to Melbourne or Sydney, he's opened these, and they're like in iconic places as well.
Oh, that's
very
good to
beautiful.
know. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you jumping on and opening up to us about your story. We're super excited. I'm definitely going to be following your journey, and yeah, very much appreciate your time as always, Amiga, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.